my dear students, I hope that you all are keeping fine and you all are well by staying safe too. Okay, so children, today we are going to discuss some important contradictory terms in case of any business organization. So these important contradictory terms in case of a business organizations, today in this video we are going to discuss is that is revenue, profit and income. Though for a layman, these terms seems to be very similar. But in case of an accounting or in case of a business, these terms plays a major important role with its significance difference. So let us discuss about what are the basic differences between these three terms which keep it different entirely from each other. So here we are going to discuss it through the way of a presentation where we will be discussing about how actually these terms are individually different from each other. So we will be discussing further. The first here in this is that is what is basically revenue. Okay, so let's discuss this term. What is basically revenue? So revenue, if we will talk about, that is it's an amount received from a business, or you can say that it's an amount received by a business from its operating and non-operating activities. So basically the operating activities means what? That is actually it's the regular activities of the business into which it is basically. For example, if I'll talk about a textile manufacturing company, so therefore all the activities related to the manufacturing of the textile, its purchase of the raw materials and entire whole thing up to its basic production will be called as what? That is its operating activities. Now non-operating activities stands for, that is the other basic activities which any business used to do in the form of expenses it can have, or in the form of an income it can earn. So that's what we call it as to be a non-operating income, though not being directly related to the business, but it adds up to the profit of the business, or you can say that it helps in increasing the profit of the business. For example, like the business can receive a rent, or the business can receive commission through other ways, or the business can have the interest from its investment which it had invested in other companies. So this is what we call it as a revenue. In other terms, we can call the revenue as a turnover as well for any particular organization. Now the next term we are going to discuss here is that's what we call it as a profit. So children, in case of a business, the profit plays a major important role, because the profit is basically, if we will talk about, that is it's a reward for the risk taken by the entrepreneur that is in the business. So profit is what we can say that it's a net amount which has been left by with the business after deducting for its cost, expenses and taxes can be called as the profit. So basically, that the profit is an important tool, or you can say that the profit is actually basically an icon which helps the business to survive in the market. In the absence of a profit, we cannot expect any business organization to survive. So in mathematical term, if we will talk, the profit is actually a difference between, that is the selling price and cost price. And in accounting terminology, if we will talk, the profit is basically a difference between the sales and its cost of goods sold. That means its sales minus cost is equal to that of the profit. So in accounting, we can classify the profit that is into the three categories. That is, one is the gross profit, operating profit and the net profit. We will be dealing further detail like in the coming videos, or when we will be dealing with the chapter financial statements, how to calculate the gross profit, operating profit and net profit. So for till now, the meaning of the profit we are discussing only up to the extent of its name only. Now next, after that, we are going to discuss about another important term, that's an income. So income and a profit in general, or in common parlance, if you will say, are being treated same by a common man, but in case of an accounting, this income plays a major important role, and it has got a significant difference from that of the profit as well as from that of the revenue. So that's what we are going to discuss here. So income is basically a net earnings of a company during a particular accounting year, that can be called as an income. Generally, after earning a profit and after deducting all the expenses or all the cost of the production and paying for the interest and other expenses, the remaining profit, which is a takeaway profit for the business, is called as the income. Now out of that income, generally the company can have have an option to pay for its dividend if it has expected, or if the shareholders has invested the money there in the business. So we can say the income is the residual amount left with the company. Residual means the remaining amount left with the company. Either the company has an option to keep it as a retained earnings or as a savings with itself, or if it wants, in order to improve its market value there in the stock market, between the shareholders, the company can distribute it also in the form of the dividend. In normal case, or in case of an individual, or in the context of an individual, income is nothing. Actually, it's an income, or you can say inflow of the cash in the form of the salary, rent, profit, interest and gains which is received from any other source. So children, let us understand the proper meaning of the revenue, profits and income through a story. So hence it's a story time to understand the proper terminology of that revenue, profit and income. So here, if we will talk about, in this very particular story, we are going to discuss about a character called Mr. Raghu. The Raghu is the owner of the Raghu Enterprises, and his firm is into the textile manufacturing and garments. So let us deal how actually Raghu's enterprise is able to segregate the proper difference between the revenue, profit, as well as with that of the income. So after carrying out the business transactions, Raghu's firm had a yearly turnover of rupees 80 lakhs. Out of that yearly turnover of rupees 80 lakhs, the Raghu decided to pay for its expenses. But in the meantime, Raghu decided to sell his ancestral property, and from that he earned rupees 10 lakh after selling it out. And he had even some more income as well. His firm earned a mega jackpot lottery of rupees 10 lakhs. They won a mega jackpot lottery of rupees 10 lakhs. Hence, altogether, if we will talk about, for a year, Raghu's total revenue is accounted to be as how much will be the sum of all together. But before that, let us understand what is actually the income earned by Raghu through its operating activities as well as through its non-operating activities. So this yearly turnover of rupees 80 lakhs which is earned by Raghu's firm is its operating activities. The reason, because Raghu Enterprises carried out its manufacturing activities of their textiles, they sold out it in the market, hence they earned this much value. That is what we can call it as the turnover is how much, that is 80 lakhs. Then there are few other additional sources as well through which Raghu's enterprise earned amount, that's, or we can call it as a revenue, that's they earned rupees 10 lakhs by selling its ancestral property, and moreover they won rupees 10 lakhs through the way of the jackpot lottery as well. So this rupees 10 lakhs by selling his ancestral property and this rupees 10 lakhs by winning a mega jackpot lottery is actually an income. We can say not income, I should not use the term income here. It is basically the revenue which is earned by the Raghu's enterprise, which is called as the non-operating, because it is not related to the basic nature of or basic core activity of the business, but it's a, you can say, an inflow of a cash for the business, or you can say that it actually adds up, or it definitely helps to increase the profit of the business. Hence, we will be calculating the revenue for Raghu's enterprises like this. Revenue is equals to the earnings of the business, or the earning from an operating activities of the business is 80 lakhs, and 10 lakhs by selling his ancestral property, and by winning a jackpot lottery rupees 10 lakhs. The total revenue for the Raghu's business is now how much? That is 1 crores. Now this 1 crores of the revenue doesn't means actually the whole 1 crores is a perfect retained earnings or a savings for the business. Now Raghu needs to calculate the profit as well, and and as per the accounting norms, now Raghu has to calculate even his income as well. So now let's deal next how the Raghu would be calculating his profit. Hence, the next Raghu appointed his accountant actually to calculate the profit. So he had a revenue of rupees 1 lakh, 1 crores we discussed already. Then out of that, he deducted his cost of production 30 lakhs. He asked his accountant to deduct the cost of production rupees 30 lakhs out of the value of rupees 1 crores. And moreover, he asked his accountant to deduct the rent for rupees 5 lakhs as well. Hence, we can find it here, and he paid the salaries as well to this employee worth rupees how much? 10 lakhs. So he also asked his accountant to deduct the value of the salary. So finally, the profit which Raghu got after meeting all his expenses and its cost of production regarding its business is how much? That is 55 lakhs. So children, I hope so that you are able to understand the meaning of the profit, how the profit is different from that of the revenue. So revenue is an overall inflow, and out of that, when we pay for the cost of expenses of the business or the cost of the manufacturing expenses of the business, and apart from the basic other expenses, we call it as an operating expenses of the business, the remaining value will be called as what? That is the profit. Okay, so we have seen how Raghu Enterprises has calculated a profit. Now the next step is to know how Raghu Enterprises is going to calculate its income. So children, here you can find it here, that is actually the profit we have already calculated is 55 lakhs. So as actually Raghu Enterprises had the profit of rupees 55 lakhs, hence they decided this thing that they will be making a payment to in the form of the dividend to their preference shareholders. So the payment made to the preference shareholders is 6 lakhs, and they decided actually to make a payment even to their equity shareholders and in the form of the dividend. That is how much? That is 4 lakhs. Altogether, Raghu Enterprises decided, because they had a profit of rupees 55 lakhs, hence they decided to pay the 10 lakhs worth rupees dividend to their respective shareholders, because they contributed to the firm's wealth by purchasing the shares of the Raghu Enterprises. Hence the income for the Raghu Enterprises is 55 lakhs, that's the profit which we have already calculated, minus 10 lakhs, that's the dividend paid. Hence the remaining amount is what we call it as a 45 lakhs being the income for Raghu Enterprises, or an income for Mr. Raghu. So this income, if the firm wants, or if Mr. Raghu wants, he can invest it into the growth and expansion of the business in the form of the retained earnings, or if he can keep this income in the form of the savings as well. So income is actually, finally we can say, that is it's a residue left with the business after making a payment for all its expenses, is what we can call it as the income. So children, after discussing these three terms, now it is quite clear that these terms, though they contradict with each other, but they are not terms generally, which has got the same meaning. Instead, they are the terms which arise one after another in case of any business organization. So you know that the business is a never ending process, and the activities which takes place there in the business, based on that these particular terms arises, or in the different stages of a business, we gives a specific terms to these different stages in the form of what? That is the profit, revenue and income, or we can say in sequence, that is revenue, profit and income. So based upon the previous case study which we have gone through, or based upon the story which we have discussed here, so there are two assignment questions, that is a question number 1 and question number 2. So students, I'm expecting this thing that if you have gone through the video carefully, you will be able to solve these questions perfectly without any kind of the problem. So hope to see you in the online class with the answers of these assignment questions. I hope so this video is thorough and clear to you. Any doubts regarding this very particular video, if you are having, or relating to its content, so we can discuss this in the online class. So thank you children for going through this very particular video here. So go through the assignment questions and its contents. So see you in the online class with any doubts, or if you have got any clauses or any problem here, so we can discuss it over there.